Oklahoma is the land of second, third, and last chances. Who were the people that made it so? The Red River Institute of History, JohnJDwyer.com, me, Gwen Falconer Lippert, and our signature sponsor, Atwood's Stores, present Oklahoma Gold. Together with our Will Rogers Medallion-winning author-historian John J. Dwyer, we'll stitch the golden threads of Oklahoma history. It's Oklahoma Gold. Dignifying our history from the stories of today. John J. Dwyer, a story from the Oklahomans too? What's this story?
Well, today's story reminds us that the pioneer spirit, Gwen, the daring, sometimes audacious determination to craft a good, even better future in Oklahoma for our children, is not something limited only to those who settled our land, sometimes at the risk of their lives. Ironically, we've sometimes heard the old stories of courage and told them, and perseverance, stories like the Trail of Tears, the land runs, winning of great and terrible wars, overcoming the ravages of the Dust Bowl and the Great Depression, of slavery, segregation, and Jim Crow. And yet we often don't know about the more recent feats accomplished by Oklahomans, those in our own or recent generations. Why? Well, my theory on that is the same as why it took those earlier generations of folks that built the state we now enjoy a long time to tell their stories. They and we have often been too busy working to accomplish those things, raise children, build businesses, take care of folks, to stop and write about them, or even often to realize what we have accomplished. There should be no question, though, about what the people of Tulsa, the state's second largest city, in the center of Oklahoma's beautiful green country, pulled off not in the 18 or 1900s, but early in the 21st century. For they set out just after the most recent turn of the century, from the 1900s to the 2000s, to craft their own renaissance. Indeed, the audacious town fathers, who through sheer will and ingenuity first transformed a small riverside village birthed by the Creek Indians into the beginnings of the oil capital of the world back in the early 1900s, at the same point in the previous century, they would have been proud of this newer renaissance. So just what did happen in T-Town during those remarkable years between 2002 and 2010, and maybe a little beyond? Well, it all began as a daring plan gradually took shape, a plan that came to be known as Vision 2025. In fact, it grew into the largest proposed public initiative in America. Vision 2025 had several parts. First, a $22 million American Airlines capital improvements project helped save the city's enormous AA maintenance base, even while Kansas City's was being shuttered. In addition, a $157 million capital improvements and community enrichment plan helped, expanded, and created parks, trails, community centers, Arkansas River improvements, area attraction, and even county roads. Meanwhile, the centerpiece of the effort poured more than $350 million into what we might call the basics, the foundational organizations, key to not only sustaining a community or area, but building and improving it. Organizations like schools, healthcare facilities, and event centers across the city and county of Tulsa. Vision 2025 was truly an effort of all the people. The city and the Tulsa County it anchored spent a year and a half exploring the input and ideas of the young, the middle-aged, and older residents. Citizens, officials, and experts alike weighed in. So did neighborhoods and towns across the city and county, including Broken Arrow, Collinsville, Glenpool, Jenks, Owasso, Sand Springs, Sapulpa, and Skiatook. The region's native tribes also participated. In September 2003, voters who earlier rejected two similar proposals approved Vision 2025. The people of Tulsa and the surrounding communities had staked a heavy investment on the future of those communities. Morale rose and work proceeded on an array of projects. These included the enormous Bank of Oklahoma Center Arena, what came to be known as the now familiar BOK. And by the way, Gwen, one hard-won benefit for Oklahoma from the 1980s oil and real estate bust that we've devoted an entire Oklahoma Gold series to was that its residents finally believed the need for economic diversification. And in the 1990s and increasingly during the opening decades of the 21st century, new industry and new types of industry rose up in our state. T-Town's oil capital heritage and prominence as an energy center continued. Yet, by 2006, growth in the banking, aerospace, telecom, insurance, high-tech, and other industries catapulted it to the number 2 ranking in the nation for job growth, according to Forbes Business magazine. It also gained recognition as one of the publication's best 50 cities in which to do business in all of America. Tulsa's rally, however, was just beginning, for its downtown district remained vital to the city and region in attaining their maximum social, economic, cultural, and political potential. Yet that had grown as inglorious as Oklahoma City's had a decade or so before. Newly elected Mayor Kathy Taylor was reminded of this on days in 2006 when she worked late at her downtown office. There was no one else on the street, she told me. It was me, and that was it. You'd leave the Hyatt Hotel downtown and see a total of 2 or 3 restaurants. Then more trouble arrived. The Tulsa Drillers, the city's minor league professional baseball team and long one of its downtown commercial anchors, notified Taylor that they were moving to a suburb and a new stadium. Also, the Bank of Oklahoma Center's impressive glass and steel components catapulted it way past its budget. And not only was it not yet built, it wasn't even fully funded. Taylor reacted in the manner that would prompt a different mayor, G.T. Bynum, to say of her years later regarding different work, Kathy has done all of this work quietly and selflessly because she loves Tulsa. Well, she called together Bank of Oklahoma, or BOK, CEO Stan Liebarger, Oilman Bill Warren, ONEOK Chairman John Gibson, and other Tulsa business leaders to map out a plan to save the drillers for Tulsa. Taylor wasn't envisioning a driller-less downtown. She wasn't even planning to maintain the shaky status quo. I was confident, she remembered, that to really revive downtown with the BOK Center on the west, we needed a complementary anchor on the east. A new ballpark would be that anchor, but it also played a different role than the BOK Center. I wanted to make sure we had a family area that was affordable, so we planned a grassy area by a new playground. It was an affordable option for families to come and spend the evening at the ballpark. Well, it was all a great vision, Gwen, but reality remained achingly far away as the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression of the 1930s descended on America around 2007.
But this story has a happy ending, right?
There will be gold to dig out at the end of this story, yes.
I wonder what the golden nugget will be. This is Oklahoma Gold. Dignifying our history when we talk about Oklahoma's second largest city, Tulsa. John J. Dwyer, continue.
That's right, Gwen. We're remembering Tulsa's historic effort for an early 2000s community and commercial renaissance. In addition to saving the over-budget, what became known as the BOK Arena, which was the crown jewel of Tulsa's Vision 2025, but which had not even broken ground yet, however, the price tag for a new downtown Tulsa Drillers baseball stadium of the quality the various stakeholders desired totaled a cool $60 million on its own. Well, Mayor Kathy Taylor and BOK CEO Stan Liebarger rolled up their sleeves and hit the pavement to raise the money. The Lobeck Taylor Foundation of Taylor and her husband Bill Lobeck anteed up $2.5 million. Ruth Kaiser Nelson, wife of philanthropist and energy magnate George Kaiser, contacted Taylor and gave $1 million. Liebarger's BOK donated $5 million. Between them, Taylor and Liebarger raised $30 million from private sources. It was a struggle fraught with drama and tension. Taylor recalled that many people were very much against it. They wanted the baseball team to stay at the fairgrounds, even though the Drillers said they would not. In fact, during the ceremony, when we moved the infield bases from the fairgrounds, there were many people booing us from the fairground stands. Well, that scene reflected one of the many ongoing challenges that Taylor and her effort faced: nostalgia for the Drillers' 30-year history at the fairgrounds. Debate also raged over the economic viability of the new ballpark's location, which appeared even more questionable than other parts of the gradually reviving downtown area. It lay adjacent to Greenwood, the historic African-American district that whites had burned down in the 1921 Tulsa Race War. Greenwood had been rebuilt, but in recent decades, much of it had fallen into disrepair. Also, downtown business owners had to pony up and approve significant property assessment payments for themselves to support the millions of dollars in funding that Tulsans could not raise privately. It was a hill steep enough to have challenged those pioneer forefathers of 21st century Tulsans that we earlier mentioned. But Taylor and her colleagues proved relentless. Fundraising continued through 2007 and 2008 in the face of that greatest American economic downturn since the Great Depression in the 1930s. The downtown business people committed to paying those property assessments. The Greenwood location was green lighted. In fact, Taylor and the other drivers of the ballpark project required the building contractors to support and expand the ability of minority subcontractors to participate in the building. Greenwood experienced increased traffic and greater investment there than in many decades, Taylor said. Well, Gwen, I'm happy to say that the beautiful One Oak Field opened as the new home of the Tulsa Drillers in 2010. By then, many Vision 2025 projects had long since blossomed. Country music superstar Garth Brooks, a Yukon native and Tulsa resident, led a ribbon-cutting ceremony for what soon became one of the greatest concert venues in the world, the nearly 20,000-seat Bank of Oklahoma Center, now renowned as the BOK. And eventually, One Oak Field's traffic revolutionized the downtown commercial development area. In 2012, the Kaiser Foundation financed Guthrie Green with its outdoor theater, fountains, and sidewalk cafe in the historic Brady Arts District. City financing helped bring the celebrated Philbrook and Gilcrease art museums downtown. Then in 2019, spurred by all of this, George Kaiser's grand vision, the world-famed 100-acre gathering place, opened just south of the downtown district. Indeed, Tulsa's pulsating center had become much more than just the mighty BOK. Tulsa Chamber of Commerce executive Suzanne Stewart also credited all of this with the city's Vision 2025 for drawing vast out-of-state investment in commercial real estate to Tulsa, especially in the crucial downtown area. In 2016, Tulsa voters resoundingly approved an extension of Vision 2025. It beefed up permanent funding for public safety, public transportation, streets, and economic development. The latter spawned housing incentives to help attract and retain school teachers. And what about those once barren downtown streets with hardly an eatery in sight? According to Kathy Taylor, there are very few pieces of property available for development in downtown Tulsa now. Now you have to be ready to find your parking place. Now when you go down to First Friday, the Art Walk downtown, to walk from the BOK Center to One Oak Field, it's blocks and blocks, crowded with restaurants and bars and retail shops, and several new hotels and office buildings, she said. Well, those tens of millions of dollars in both private and public Tulsa investment funds have spurred a downtown renaissance brimming with investment that Taylor said is here to stay. In the end, she said, it was really a whole lot of Tulsans who cared about the legacy of the Drillers and making sure they had a world-class stadium. That morphed into a much larger growth in the overall downtown area and a world-class city. And they did it in the old-fashioned way, themselves, through their local communities. Indeed, Gwen, the pioneer spirit in Oklahoma is alive and well.
Now that's Oklahoma Gold.